Well, hello everyone. Welcome to the last week of the regular season for Division 1 at least. We are in Canada. We were in Russia a couple weeks ago, the largest country. Now we are in the second largest. And we've got a pretty important matchup, Calamity, between two people in the relegation zone and MTheBassman and Boulgour.
Yeah, it's definitely a very important matchup. Both of them have been in that kind of situation for most of the season. And right now, they're both in the relegation playoff zone. And for both of them, it's still absolutely possible to make their way out of it. But it's also absolutely possible to drop back into that direct relegation spot. So we'll be following along today, and after every round, I'll also tell you how the other matches are going at that point, and we'll see how the table evolves. Because right now, pretty much from fourth down to 10th, essentially everything is possible for them.
Yeah, they're one position away towards that bottom half of the table, but it is very tight all the way up. Their stats pretty equal. Their average score is only about 10 or so apart, so it is really close. I think it's actually 13.
Yes, it
So
is.
really close. The one advantage Bulgur has is a good number of aces over MTheBassman. So we're gonna see if that might come into play. But it is Canada, so
Mm.
just like Russia, I'm not really sure how much that could actually come into play as we take a look at this map. Yeah, it's a very kind of even map spread out across the country, but it is computer generated, so we could definitely get some random locations in the middle of nowhere that could be hard to find in 3 minutes. Yeah, do you want to make any wagers as to who will be coming out on top on this one?
I think in this season in Division 1, if you ignore like the top two, perhaps, I don't think you can make any bets on who
Mm.
wins what. It really depends on just the tiniest differences that could make it all happen or not. And yeah, Bulgar's advantage and aces might come into play, but then again, as you said, in average points, they're pretty much the exact same. So if we're not on a map that's going to be dependent on getting the 25k and doing it perfectly, then that stat probably won't make as big of a difference.
Mm.
So, and well, I assume Canada, especially with this map, won't be like that unless we get some very lucky slash easy locations. So I think it could really go either way.
Interesting. Well, let's not keep you waiting any longer, and we will get ourselves jumped right in to round number one. And well, we start off on a nice highway, and lots of road signs and a few addresses even.
Yeah,
And
it's a highway. I don't know about nice, but yeah, that sign actually helps out a lot.
there we go.
Tells you the province as well as the closest city, which is relatively well known, I would say.
Yes, very
Um,
famous.
yeah, that's definitely a sign that would have helped if you'd found it.
Just have to go a little bit to the north, but it sounds like Calamity didn't go quite that direction. It also had Ontario as the province, as abbreviated right there. So you didn't quite know the city, you at least knew where to start looking.
9 kilometers past Thessalon is what Bulgur is seeing right there, and Thessalon is on his screen a bit to the southeast of him.
So I'm pretty sure they've got a good clue within that first minute about what road they are on. The trick is, where exactly are they? They've got that address for the town, but they're obviously not in the town, so
Yeah,
can't
I would
see really any water either.
yeah. I would assume what 9 kilometers past Thessalon, and you can correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I would assume that means you're not yet in Thessalon, but the thing that is on that ad is 9 kilometers after Thessalon.
Mm.
So, well, it actually doesn't tell you how far away from Thessalon you are, now that I think about it, so it might not be all that useful.
It is something, but you'd have to do a little bit of mental arithmetic to make it produce anything worthwhile. Very east-west road, that could be a bit more useful. Both of them heading west now. Looking for any kind of clue. where they might be. MTheBassman actually going to change his idea of what highway he's on.
Yeah, it's just checking the possibilities,
Mm-hmm.
but nothing of what he's checked so far has been straight enough.
Yeah, that's kind of the odd thing. It doesn't look like any of these areas would be that straight, except for maybe what he's just found.
Mm-hmm.
There's a few lakes and whatnot around that area. We're getting down to crunch time now, under 30 seconds, and yeah, there's been a few signs as to the local area, but a whole lot. Yeah, and kind of thinking MTheBassman's mouse is kind of telling us everything. Just we're here somewhere, and really 3 minutes not gonna give him a whole lot to go off of.
Boulgour found Tesla just there at the last second, but he's still not quite sure what to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
And there you go.
Yeah, not quite. Both of them not quite able to find it. That east-westerly road did throw them off quite a bit. They were a bit further away than they would have liked from the town, and 4,807 points for MTheBassman to Boulgour's 4,664. So a nice 150 some odd point lead there for Bassman. Definitely be happy with that, given that, you know, not really easy to pinpoint at all, and at least in 3 minutes.
Well, it wouldn't have been that difficult to pinpoint with all of the signs they had found. You had the sign that told them, hey, you're somewhere near Sainte Marie. You had the sign, at least Boulgour found it, I'm not 100% sure Bassman did, that told him, hey, you're somewhere close to Tessalon. And from then on, you do have at the start the two signs that tell you, hey, these are the side roads that go off of here. So you have something to look for there as well as obviously the road direction. So would have been possible, but both of them just taken a bit too long to make it happen. And as I said, we'll be talking about the other games as well, which it's a very interesting situation. We've got Pluky against Mr. Blue, who are Pluky's on the same points as Boulgour, and Mr. Blue is 2 points ahead in 4th place. And we've got Verdoc against Nimrith. Verdoc in 10th place on 8 points, Nimrith in 5th on 12. And then we have me against Raidman. Well, and with these matchups in the first round, we have 5Ks from Verdoc, Mr. Blue, and Pluky, and Nimrith as well. 4970 from me, and 5K, of course, from Raidman as well. So pretty much everyone else in that area, apart from me, 5K this round. So not the most easy, but that at the same time for Bassman and Boulgour, it means that they need someone in that specific area to not get a win. So essentially one of the people ahead of them. So Pluky, me, or Nimrith, or for in the case of Boulgour, even Mr. Blue would be enough. One of them needs to lose their game to allow them any chance of getting out of that position.
And probably even bonus points won't be enough to really move things enough for them to get out of there. They have to have that loss. Is that what it is? Like completely losing the 3 points is what they really need to shake things up?
No, not necessarily. It depends. Bassman does need a win for sure because he's a few points behind. But Boulgour is level on points, so he just needs to get more points than his direct opponents ahead of him. Whether that is 1-0 or 3-1 or 2 doesn't really matter too much. But he's just got the problem where he missed a week due to a yellow card, so he doesn't really have the total score to work for him.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, yeah, Boulgour, a little bit easier of a time today then. The problem is that he is behind after one round, and MTheBassman is looking good, even if by just a few points after round number 1. We'll get into round number 2 here. And, oh, another stretch of highway.
It immediately looks much more northern.
Yeah, it looks way more northern.
Yeah.
Which could be a pretty good clue, is where there are very few roads that are recorded far north.
Yeah, there are basically you've got a few roads, and there you go. Boulgour has already found a sign towards Yellowknife. He just needs to find it. It's right there.
There we go.
A bit more northeast. There we go.
I'll get there. Yeah, Northwest Territory, way up north.
Mm.
You always think it won't be this kind of green or something that far north. You think like, oh, it's got to be like tundra, like Alaska feel sometimes, but no, still pretty good scenery.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty much on the same, like it just looks so far north because like the sort of northern parts of Canada are so sparsely populated, but it's on like the same longitude, is it
Latitude.
latitude
Oh.
as sort of Scandinavia, sort of central Norway or Sweden. That pretty much looks like that as well.
Yeah, and those few towns and the good signs make it pretty easy for Boulgour to pinpoint that one in no time at all. Took him only about half his time. And
Basement's not too far behind.
I think he's got his pin in a pretty similar location. He just wants to confirm things. This movement bug is not helping him at all, but he's got a minute. And I think that even if he doesn't quite get this ace, he will be good enough to not drop too many points against his opponent. Just needs to remember that there is a side road right there.
Which may or may not be on the map.
It may not be Google's fault. Looks like his internet's having a little bit of trouble too.
Yep.
He'll go with that one, and that will be good enough. 13 meters, a little bit further away, but equal on points in that one. But a very straightforward second round here for them, taking them no time at all.
Yeah, and no problem for anyone else here as well. Everyone 5K'ing that round without any problems. So right now, currently, that would actually put Baseman into safety and would drop Boulgour. Well, it wouldn't drop him very far. He'd be still sort of safe in like that 9th place where he'd be, well, not relegated directly. Yeah, but there are still... Yeah, there's still 3 rounds to go and enough time to turn it all around.
Nice. Well, let's see what round 3 has in store for us as we jump right in. And, well, 3 for 3 highways at least. This one, another one right next to an exit or an interchange.
Centre du Québec.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you can't get any more Quebec than literally assigned to Quebec. But those highway symbol numbers as well as everything in French, means we are in the province of Quebec. Obviously south, or sort of south, probably south or east of Montreal. You can't go very far south of Montreal, so
you can't go very far west either if you want to stay in Quebec.
Yeah, it got to be kind of more east. Yeah, maybe the 128 might be a bit of a clue. Small road number that they might be able to spot. But that is that the exit number?
It may well be.
It may well be. I don't remember the fancy sign for the exit number rather than just a number painted on things. It doesn't appear to be. It might be, but there are plenty of town names, but lots of places to look for. This is the one of the most heavily populated areas of the country, so not absent of small towns to have to deal with. I do believe, yeah.
He's looking in a too populated area.
Yeah.
I think you just wanted to say it is the exit number probably, because you could see on Boulgour's screen there for a second that the road number for a side road would show up in a different fashion.
Oh, okay. For a second, I thought Baseman found some of the town names, but not quite.
Montreal, yes, he's found that.
No, I saw BE something, and I was like, oh, that looks like, no, never mind. So thankfully you cut me off with a more helpful bit of commentary, and Boulgour will guess really early, thinking he's got it, and that's a bit of a mistake. 4,420. I'm not really sure why he did that, unless he was just super confident, and it was not Mr. Blue, MTheBassman, that is very confident in this one, finding that on-ramp, no problem. Yeah, I'm not really sure what Boulgour thought he saw there. We might take a little bit of a jump back just to see what he might have thought. But yeah, I bet very unfortunate that puts him way behind after his third round, Clem.
Yeah, I've been kind of looking back at it a bit. I'm not necessarily sure either. He guessed at an intersection between the 55 and the 10, whereas it was the 55 and the 20 that we were at. Let me see. Does anything match? Does the exit number doesn't
Maybe
show
it
up?
does.
It does.
The directionality is pretty good. The fact that it is an on-ramp is pretty nice. Go back a little bit further. I think he did see that exit number. Yep, 128.
It doesn't match though. Where he guessed. But yeah, it being a highway exit and it being pretty much looking the exact same from like a layout perspective.
Yeah,
I think that's the only kind of matching factors we've got here. And I mean, it's on the 55. It's just the side road that doesn't match.
Yeah, it's very disappointing because that puts him in a pretty big hole in a round in Canada that hasn't been too mean to anybody so far. How did everybody else do across Division 1 on that one?
A few 5Ks. We have Pluky, Mr. Blue, Basement, as we saw, and then Raidman and Verdok also with 5Ks. Then we have Nimrif dropping about 400 points, me dropping about 1,100 points, and yeah, Boulgour we saw, which now puts me basically down as a loss against Raidman. It also puts Nimrif on the back foot against Verdok, and Verdok is still on for a perfect game, which could actually bring Verdok to overtake both Basement and Boulgour as well, if it goes very specifically. But that would require Basement to get only, it would require Boulgour to get no points, or one. I think one would be enough for Verdok. And Basement to get, at most, 3 points would, 3 points for Basement and 1 for Boulgour, I think, would work in a specific scenario.
Okay.
And yeah, I think it puts me behind at least one of them, unless they draw like with a very low score.
Okay, yeah, a bit of a mixed bag then for round number 3. Some people getting an ace, other people having just as much of a tricky time with it as Boulgour did. And we'll jump into round number 4. And, well, kind of more of the same, more highway at least.
Yep. Not the most exciting seed visually.
No. There's an exit number. Few signs, but no city name that I've been able to spot yet. MTheBassman has made it onto the actual highway, which is nice. Very clever clicking from him.
Ontario.
There we go. So we are pretty much right where we have been for the last 3 rounds. Haven't moved a whole lot.
Well, we have to, like, the Northwest Territories for 1 round. But apart from that, yes.
Oh, I guess, yeah, it was round number 1 that we were in, Ontario. Not the second round. Oh, so on the Great Canadian... It's called the Trans-Canadian Highway, not the Great Canadian Highway. Trans-Canadian. There is an exit number, but there is no real... I don't know if there's any cities or anything he's seen that have given him too much of a clue, other than the fact that we are in Ontario. But Boulgour has also seen Ontario highway signs for the 11, if he recognizes the crown. North Bay as well, so unfortunately there's lots of water there, so not going to be the most helpful thing. But that will put him in. Oh, there we go. Yeah, what a find. Yeah, and there's the 11. Sure enough. So Both of them in the general area now. It might actually be Boulgour who's pulled out a little bit of an advantage with that find. He knows we're near the 11.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure what Bassman thinks he's found.
Yeah, he's seen some town names, but he has not seen any definitive numbers or anything, and that
Oh,
might be... Oh, he did see Sunridge, the town name on
he
a
did,
sign. So that's what
yes.
he was looking for. And that will, with 30 seconds left, that will help him move over to the right road at least. And now we're down to pinpointing again, but both of them leaving it very late. And it might be MTheBassman with a bit of an advantage now that he has a town close by and some exit numbers.
He's not looking for him, though.
Yeah,
Don't know why.
he's not. And it might actually be... Boulgour seems to be looking for some side roads that he's off of. Did he just find it? He might have
Maybe
found...
he's not.
Nope, apparently
No.
not. He seemed pretty confident when he looked at that name that he clicked on it and then went back to the start. So it looked like he might have, but he didn't. Yeah, Bassman definitely getting closer. That town name, a bit of a savior for him. And the road number for Boulgour was not enough. Drops another 272 points against Bassman there. So with only one round to go, it is not looking good for Boulgour, but it's looking very nice for MTheBassman.
Yeah, it is. If he wins this game, he should be pretty much safe. As long as things don't turn around massively otherwise. In round 4, we've got more perfect scores from Raidman and Verdok, who both keep on with their perfect games so far. Pluki, for the first time, gains a bit of a lead against Mr. Blue. He's now 136 points ahead thanks to this round.
That draw.
Yeah, Nimrith only drops 3 points, so not a bad round for him, but he is still about 380 points behind Verdok, so also currently going for a loss, and I dropped about 50 points, but against Raidman, not very likely to matter anymore.
Looking to be on a perfect game, and what's really interesting is that why do I keep confusing these two people? Mr. Blue just missed out on the playoffs last season, and it looks like he might be in for missing out on it again as we get into our final round. Lots to play for, not just in this match, but across Division 1. And we get our first, well, sort of urban setting. We're in a town at least.
Urban from the start.
119th Street. But yeah, the trick here will be figuring out what town this is. So getting out of town would be nice.
Should probably start with figuring out the state. Crow's Nest Pass, that's the town. Not necessarily the most useful information as long as you don't know the state, though.
Yeah, but I mean, given that the terrain probably in British Columbia or the province right next to it.
Alberta.
And Calgary is the city, but that's not the province. One of those two. Yep, MTheBassman would agree with me. Those mountains definitely putting us somewhere there. And there we go. Oh, that's a very nice sign for Boulgour. Alberta 3.
Yeah, that would have also been a very nice sign to find if one had.
Hint, hint, wink, wink.
Yeah, and there's Crow's Nest. Yeah,
There
obviously in a very mountainous area of Alberta, which makes it fairly easy because most of Alberta isn't that mountainous. It's just the western border alongside, with BC.
Yeah, and MTheBassman has just seen Alberta on a sign. So he knows the province as well as the town name, but hasn't quite headed out to look for it yet. In the meantime, Boulgour will make sure that he at least finishes strong because he will get an ace in this one. Let me actually see his final score, 23,787. So, yeah, we're looking at least 4,000 points here for MTheBassman in order to maintain his win.
Mm-hmm.
I would say it's a pretty comfortable margin. Like having almost 1,000 points to play with is not too bad, especially when he finds that sign.
Yeah.
There we go. The 3 in Alberta. And oh, there's the town. Yeah. And with 30 seconds to spare. Now, not possible to drop enough points. Unless he just misclicks, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Which, you know what town you're in. That would be a very strange click. I don't know why he moved out of the town. He might just put your marker. No, not put your marker back. Well, you'll only lose a couple 100 points, barely over 100 points. So not enough to really throw anything off. Despite the uncertainty towards the very end there, 24,676 to 23,787. So there we go. A win for MTheBassman, and I would say a pretty straightforward final round in this one means he will, if you've been telling me that correctly, he will save his spot in Division 1 for next season, which is definitely a big accomplishment for him. I know going into this, he was not expecting that.
Yeah, no massive turnarounds in the last round there. Verdok did keep on with his perfect game, which means that Nimrif couldn't quite catch up anymore. He also dropped about 1,300 points in that last round, so not close to that anyway. And Pluki did, as well as Mr. Blue, both 5k the last round, which means that Pluki does take 4th place away from Mr. Blue. Nimrif then drops down to 6th. Bassman grabs 7th, and Verdok surprisingly makes his way up to 8th after spending pretty much most of the season down in 10th. Just ahead of me in 9th place, and then Boulgour unfortunately drops down to 10th and doesn't manage to stay up this season. It's unfortunate for him. Loses out on the tiebreakers against me. And the one good thing, I suppose, for him is that at least, well, I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter, but good mentally, I suppose, that even if he hadn't received the yellow card in that week 7, it still just about wouldn't have been enough to get a better total score than me. So at least that round didn't matter.
Very nice. Well, congrats to MTheBassman on surviving, and very unfortunate and condolences to Boulgour moving all the way down into that automatic relegation spot. So we'll have some very interesting matchups. Lots of nice matches in the playoffs for the championship as well. You versus Verdok in the relegation battle for Division 1. So let's see if you can't. Yeah, let's see if you can't stay up in Division 1 and stick with MTheBassman. You guys have been in the same division for quite a while, so it'd be nice to see you both stay up. Well,
yeah, just saying as a note there, I've played Verdok 3 times so far in Reddit League, and I've lost all 3 games. Ooh. So let's see.
See if you can turn it around. Yeah, it would be quite the story if you managed to survive on the 4th occasion. Yeah, well, thank you all for watching. Definitely check out the Reddit League show this week because we've got some big playoff implications coming your way. And you want to watch all of that, so check out those videos on the channel. And yeah, we're heading into the playoffs for Division 1, 4, and 5. 2 and 3 got a couple more weeks. But then they'll be in their own playoffs, so you won't want to miss any of that action. And we'll bring you as many of those matchups as we can. And we'll see you all next time. Take care.
Bye.